Hey guys, and welcome back to another Surgical Tech Tips. Today I wanted to make a video related to sharps again. I did some previous videos about sharps and how to handle them on the field, but I want to talk about the bad event that can happen, and that is actually getting stuck by a sharp. Now I'm making this video not to scare anybody out there, but I'm just making this video so there's something in place that you guys can know, step by step what's going to happen if it does happen. This is not something that happens all the time. Trust me, okay? You can work your entire career in the OR and never get stuck by a dirty sharp. But it does happen. I've been in the OR for 10 years and I've gotten stuck by one dirty sharp, and it is it's not a fun time. So let me take you through the steps that happens when you do get stuck by that sharp. Now I want to preface this video before we get into it with you should treat every patient in the OR the same way, and you should treat them as if every patient has HIV or hepatitis. We don't take blood samples on every single patient, when we pre-op them. So if it's previously diagnosed and the patient has HIV, the staff will know. Everybody in the whole hospital, it'll be a part of their chart. Everybody will know that that patient is HIV positive. But if that patient doesn't know that they are HIV positive, we don't know either. So that is why it's important to treat every patient as if they have HIV or hepatitis. Double gloving if you need to, and just being extra careful around sharps. Alright, so let's play out a scenario here. You're in the middle of a case in the OR. The surgeon asks for an 11 blade that they've been using throughout the case. You go to hand them the 11 blade, they use it, he hands it back, and instead of dropping it on the sharp safe zone, maybe he tries to just hand it right back to you. You try and grab it, and boom, you get stuck in the palm of your hand with a dirty 11 blade. Don't freak out, okay? Don't freak out. That's the worst possible thing you could do. But immediately, the first step you take is to pull on your glove to make sure that that blade actually did go through your glove. When you pull on that glove, you'll be able to see whether or not there's a hole through your glove. If you're wearing a double glove, you'll be able to see if it's gone through the second layer of glove. A lot of people that double glove use a different color glove. So when you do pull on that top layer glove, you'll be able to see the bottom layer very easily because it's not the same color. If you notice blood underneath your glove coming up and starting to pool up underneath your glove, that's when you need to take step 2. Step 2 is immediately ask your nurse to call out to the front desk and get another tech in there to scrub you out. You keep that hand off the field and you don't touch anything with that hand until somebody scrubs you out. After somebody scrubs you out, we're going on to step 3. Rip your gown off, throw it all in the trash, and immediately go to the sink. Put your hand under water, the hand that is obviously, been cut. Put it under water and start, pushing that blood out of that cut. You want to try and get, all that blood that's just sitting there in the wound, you want to try and get that out of the wound. Grab a little a scrub brush and scrub that wound as best you can. Leave it under water, wash it as much as you can, and then just wrap it up in like a paper towel. Go up to the front desk, tell them what happened, and usually the charge nurse up at the front desk already knows because your circulator in the room has let them know. They'll send you downstairs to the ER. This is the 4th step. They are going to send you down to the ER, and you'll be registered as a patient in the ER. They'll take you to a back room. They'll take your blood pressure and all the vital signs and stuff like that. Make sure you're okay. But while you're down there in the ER, one of the most important things is your circulator and your anesthesiologist up in the room are taking a blood sample of the blood directly from the patient. And the reason they're doing that is they need to check, just double check. I know a lot of the patient information is in the chart, but we actually take a sample of blood from the patient and check if there are any bloodborne diseases, HIV, hepatitis, stuff like that, that could possibly be, you know, in their blood and in that patient. And they'll do the same thing to you in the ER. They'll actually take a sample of your blood as well, and they, you know, will send that off to the lab. So both the patient's blood and your blood will be going out to the lab and immediately viewed and screened to make sure there's no bloodborne diseases in either one of you. Now the fifth step, while you're sitting in the ER room, you're super nervous, you don't know what's going to happen, you don't know if you've contracted something. It's a very nerve-wracking time being down there in the ER. The ER doctor will come into the room and they may offer you this cocktail of drugs called Truvada. This drug is, it's kind of like an HIV antiviral medication, and it can be used to, you know, reduce the risk of an HIV infection if, you know, that patient does end up having HIV. There's a lot of side effects that come with that. When I was down there and the ER doctor offered it to me, he said he basically told me he's only seen one other person take this drug, and when they did take that drug, they were out of work for a week, throwing up, and it was just, he said it really messes your body up, but it's the one thing that we have to combat against a potential HIV infection. I told him that I would wait. I wouldn't just take the drug immediately as a, you know, prophylactic drug or anything like that. I opted out of it, and I waited to see, personally, I just waited to see whether or not the patient had an HIV or any type of bloodborne disease before I took any kind of crazy medication like that would knock me off my butt for so long. My case ended up being fine. My blood was clean, the patient's blood was clean, so all was okay with that. Now the sixth thing that's going to happen is, while you, maybe before or maybe after you talk to that ER doctor, you're still waiting for that blood sample to come back, they're gonna drug test you. They're gonna ask for a urine sample, and it may be different at other facilities, but at my facility, anytime you have any type of accident, whether it's your fault or not, in the OR or in the workplace, they're gonna drug test you. And this was no different. You know, even though it wasn't my fault when I got, you know, stuck with a sharp, I still had to be drug tested. You know, you got somebody coming into the bathroom with you, watching you take a pee into a cup. It kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Now the seventh step is, you know, after you get the blood work back and everything seems to be a-okay and you are free, you still need to go talk to employee health and the employee health nurse. Usually there's some sort of like nursing officer for your hospital or facility, and they're in charge of basically just employee health in general, because this obviously happened at work. Those papers you sign are basically in place to say that, you know, you got stuck at work, there was an injury related accident that happened in the workplace, and that you are covered under, you know, the hospital's policy. If you need to take time off, if you've gotten sick from the injury or anything like that, it's all covered under that hospital policy. And also that kind of rolls into the next step, and the next step is you have to sign this sheet that says you are going to be coming back for multiple blood tests for the next 6 months. So they watch you. If any employee that has been stuck by a dirty sharp is watched, and they take periodic blood samples for the next 6 months. I think for me it was, you know, 2 weeks from my injury, and then 4 weeks from the injury, 8 weeks from the injury, and then at like the 6 month mark or something like that, I believe it was. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that's what it was. I had to go down to employee health you know, in those times, and have them redraw my blood and sample my blood to make sure that I didn't have, you know, any type of blood-borne diseases from that injury itself. So that is basically it. Those are the general steps that are going to happen if you end up getting, you know, stuck by a dirty instrument, a dirty blade, or a dirty needle. I just want to stress again, I know I said it in the beginning, but I don't want to scare any of you about this. If you're a potential student or anything like that, and you haven't even started working in the OR, don't be afraid about this. Okay, this is an accident. Accidents do happen, but they do not happen often. This is not something that happens all the time. Okay, we are all very careful in the OR, and you know, accidents do happen, and sometimes, you know, it does happen, but it does not happen to everybody. Trust me, it does not happen to everybody. So please do not worry about this. I just wanted to make this video, put it in place, so the knowledge is out there. And with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it put some of you at ease. I hope it didn't scare some of you, but if it did, I'm sorry.